I'm joined now by GOP Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee, who has called for more transparency in the Epstein case. Good morning, Congressman. You've co-sponsored the bipartisan Epstein Files Transparency Act, which would force the House to vote on whether or not to release all government files on Epstein. What exactly do you think the government is withholding here?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, ma'am. I applaud the president and Attorney General Bondi for wanting to release the grand jury files. I believe that'll pretty much cover everything. But I would give everybody a caveat, or that's a big word, but a warning that just because somebody flew on a plane doesn't mean they're a dadgum pedophile. You know, I have a lot of wealthy friends. I aspire to be wealthy, but I've taken a vow of poverty because my daughter rides horses. So, but I have a lot of wealthy friends, and they fly on people's planes, and their plane will be down, and they'll say, "Hey, we're going somewhere, and we got an extra seat. Do you want to go?" And they don't even know the person on the plane. So, you know, that's one of the things I worry about too, because you know, President Trump admitted that he flew on his dadgum plane, and so I worry about some innocent people. I worry about there's over 1,000 people that this dirtbag apparently offended, and currently I believe the devil's dealing with him, but I worry about some of those innocents' names being out on that too as well. Yes, ma'am.
So, Congressman, you think unsealing the grand jury records is enough for you now?
I think it's a start. I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom of anything, all of it, ma'am. I mean, look at the Kennedy assassination. Do you actually believe Lee Harvey Oswald shot President Kennedy from the front and the back, and this magic bullet appears an hour later on a hospital gurney and in an emergency room? You know, this town doesn't give up its secrets very easy, and I'd warn people too. Now we're getting a hold of this stuff. What happened the last 4 years under the Biden administration? Senator Dick Durbin blocked my Senator Marsha Blackburn, who valiantly fought to get those records out and acted pretty much like there wasn't anything, and the media backed him up on it. And now all of a sudden the media thinks they've got something, and it's leveled towards Trump. But you know, my history with this issue goes back a long way. I spent 16 years in the Tennessee General Assembly, and I passed and attempted to pass some of the toughest laws in the country, some of the first ICAC fund Internet crimes against children. I promoted the death penalty, chemical castration of child molesters. A lot of those bills were ruled unconstitutional.
Congressman, yes, I want to go back again. So you no longer believe or are demanding that all the Epstein files be released?
No, ma'am. I want them released, but my warning is this. Let's make sure that we're not releasing the names of some of these who were then children, now adults, that were abused by this dirtbag Epstein, and let's make sure we don't release things that have innocents' names on them. That's been my concern with the original. I thought they were dragging their feet in the beginning under the Biden administration. They never did anything, and now all of a sudden it's become a political issue. It's not a political issue with me, ma'am. I've held the hands of people that have been molested, and they carry a life sentence.
You've been very critical. I'm sorry. You have been very critical of Pam Bondi during this, and the president said he thinks she's handled it well. So where is the disconnect there? And do you think she should resign?
I think her communication with us early on was not as good. I mean, the binder, for instance, that she put out, I was very excited about that, but then I found the contents of it. I think it was her limited knowledge and her and taking advice from the wrong people, which you do a lot of in Washington. There's plenty of people to give you advice, but when it turns out not good, you turn around and they're nowhere to be found. And I think that's what she did in the beginning. I think if she turns the corner, I have a saying, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. If she finishes strong on this, then I'm all for it. I'm sure the learning curve is steep, and I think she blundered in the beginning. I really do, as most Americans do, because that white notebook that those young folks, those influencers, walked out with, I thought that was it. And then when I started digging into it, it was stuff that I like my postings on Twitter, or X, but that's about the limit of my computer knowledge. But even I could find those things on the internet that were already out there. So I think they blundered in the beginning, but I think they're going to finish strong.
Well,
Again,
President Trump.
I don't know the. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. President Trump has started claiming this is all a hoax, that it's being perpetrated by the Democrats. He says some of his own supporters, who he labeled stupid and foolish Republicans. You are obviously one of those people who wants this released. What's your reaction to how President Trump has handled it?
It's his strategy. You know, everybody questions President Trump's strategy. They said the big, beautiful bill wasn't going to get out on the 4th of July. Trump comes out and says, I don't care when you put it out. I said, I don't care if you put it out on July 40th, get the bill out. I just want it out. And what happened? Dadgum, we passed it on the 4th of July. His cryptocurrency bill, my own Senator Haggerty had the Genius Act part of that. And everybody said it was dead. It wasn't going anywhere. And there I am on a phone call. I'm in a meeting with our speaker and our whip, Tom Emmert, and 10 or 12 fellow conservatives that had concerns about it. And lo and behold, President Trump calls, answers all of our questions, and the bill passes, and he signed it on Friday. So, you know, I think to underestimate Donald J. Trump is a mistake in this town, and I think we're learning that. And I you know, that's his strategy. Was I a little ticked off he said that stuff? Sure I was, but I'm a big boy, ma'am. We're playing in the big leagues right now, and you know, I get criticized every day. I get death threats on a pretty regular basis, so my skin's about that thick right now. I think I can take a little criticism.
It sounds like you can.
He's coming out with it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks so much for joining us this morning, Congressman.
Thank you, ma'am.